There are people who hold titles, and then there are people who redefine them. Frank Caprio wasn't just a judge. He was a reminder that the law can have a heart that justice doesn't always need to be cold, and that compassion can echo louder than a gavel. But now the world mourns. The man who became known as the nicest judge in the world has passed away after a battle with cancer. And though the courtroom is silent, his legacy still speaks. You ever heard of someone being called the nicest judge in the world? Probably not. Nice isn't usually how we describe judges. But then there was Judge Frank Caprio, a name that went beyond the courtroom, a name that became synonymous with kindness and understanding. How did this happen? Well, let me tell you. Imagine a small old courthouse in Warwick, Rhode Island. Peeling paint, chipped window panes, just another run-of-the-mill local court. But within those four walls, something extraordinary took place. It began like any other day, people shuffling in and out, whispers echoing in the hallway, nervous glances exchanged. Everyone stopped when he entered. There was an air of calm around him. His presence was quiet but strong, like a lighthouse amidst a storm. And then there was his face. No severe expressions, only warmth. When he smiled, it was like the sun breaking through clouds. You might think it's just a smile, but in that courtroom it changed everything. This was more than just a judge. This was Judge Caprio. Now, you might wonder, what made him different? What sparked this movement that turned a simple judge into a global sensation? To understand that, we need to go deeper, dig into the story that shaped this unique soul. Born on November 24, 1936 in Federal Hill, Providence, Rhode Island, his early life wasn't paved with privilege. His father, Antonio Caprio, was an immigrant from Italy, a fruit peddler who sold his wares from the back of a truck. Life wasn't easy, times were tough, and money was tight. Young Frank grew up watching his father work tirelessly, just trying to make ends meet. It wasn't a luxurious upbringing, but it was rich in values, rich in the kind of strength that comes from facing life's challenges head-on. From a young age, Frank understood the value of hard work. He wasn't afraid of getting his hands dirty, cleaned meat markets, shined shoes, delivered newspapers. He did odd jobs, anything to help out. Even as a teenager, he was known as a diligent worker, someone who took pride in his work. But these jobs weren't just about making money. They were about learning, understanding the sweat, the effort, the dignity of honest labor. His dream was bigger than his current reality. He wanted more, not for himself, but for his family. He wanted to break the cycle of struggle. Education was his path. Through scholarships and sheer determination, he attended Providence College. Later, he pursued law at Suffolk University in Boston. Balancing both wasn't easy. It meant studying late into the night, missing out on social events, forgoing leisure time. But he persevered, driven by a vision of a better future. When he taught high school in the mornings to pay his way through law school, his students weren't just learning subjects. They were learning life lessons. They saw someone who didn't complain, who worked tirelessly, who never gave up. He didn't just teach them academics, he taught them resilience. Now, imagine the impact when such a person becomes a judge. His journey from humble beginnings to the bench wasn't just remarkable, it was inspiring.
Wow.
But the true story began when he entered that small courtroom in Warwick. Stepping into that courtroom was like stepping into another world. Cracked paint, dated furniture, you might think a bit depressing, but there was something special happening there. Judge Caprio wasn't just dispensing justice, he was serving humanity. He dealt with cases big and small, from traffic violations to petty theft, from disputes between neighbors to first-time offenders. Each case was important to him. He didn't see them as just cases, he saw them as people. People with stories, with struggles, with dreams. Let me tell you a story that happened in that very courtroom. A single mother appeared before him. She was a hard-working woman, a good person trying to do her best. But she had a mountain of unpaid parking tickets. She wasn't avoiding them. She simply couldn't afford to pay them. Her job didn't pay much, her bills were piling up, and these tickets were just another burden. She was scared when she entered that courtroom. She thought the worst, that she'd be thrown in jail, that her kids would be taken away. But then she saw him. She saw Judge Caprio. He didn't look at her as just a delinquent. He looked at her as a human being. He asked her questions, not just about the tickets, but about her life. He talked to her, not down to her. And when he finally spoke, he didn't say the words that sent her to jail. Instead, he dismissed her tickets. He gave her a chance. That wasn't just a legal move. It was a humanitarian gesture. He understood her struggle. He knew her poverty wasn't a choice. He gave her not just a lighter sentence, but a lifeline. Now, think about the impact of such actions. In one small courtroom, one judge was changing lives. He wasn't just dispensing justice. He was offering second chances. He wasn't just upholding the law. He was serving the community. And then came the day when the world noticed. Someone filmed a courtroom session and uploaded it online. It started circulating, gaining traction, going viral. People were amazed, surprised, touched. They'd never seen a judge like this before. Suddenly, Judge Caprio wasn't just a local figure. He became a global sensation. His fame wasn't about power. It was about recognition. He was being celebrated for his kindness, his empathy, his understanding. People from all over the world applauded him, became a symbol of hope, a beacon of compassion. But he remained unchanged. He didn't let the spotlight alter his demeanor. He continued doing what he loved, helping people, offering chances, being the beacon of light in that old courtroom. But every light dims at some point. In late 2023, Judge Caprio shared something that shook the world. He had been diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, a formidable disease that affects thousands. It wasn't just a diagnosis, it was a battle. But he faced it like he faced every challenge, with courage, with dignity, with grace. In a public statement, he didn't dwell on the negative. He didn't speak of his fears or his pain. He thanked his supporters, reminding them of the values he held dear: kindness, forgiveness, compassion. He urged people to be good, to help others, to love. It was a message of hope, a testament to his character. Even in the face of his own struggle, he was thinking of others. And then in August 2025, his battle came to an end. Judge Frank Caprio passed away peacefully at the age of 88. He didn't leave us with sorrow. He left us with lessons. His death was mourned worldwide. People from all walks of life, celebrities, politicians, ordinary citizens, they all expressed their sadness, their respect, their admiration. But his legacy will continue to live on. The man who was known as the nicest judge in the world wasn't just a judge. He was a humanitarian, a beacon of hope, a role model. He showed us that kindness isn't weakness, it's strength. Empathy isn't a flaw, it's a virtue. Compassion isn't a burden, it's a gift. So the next time you enter a courtroom, remember Judge Caprio. Remember his kindness, his empathy, his dedication. And remember that behind every stern legal figure, there's a human being with feelings, with hopes, with dreams. Judge Caprio's story reminds us that no matter our profession, no matter our status, kindness is the greatest law of all.